Is everybody coming off of work? I see everyone in there like scrubs and, okay. All right, so we are live on YouTube right now. So welcome back to my channel, you guys. I'm really excited to do this meet and greet with you guys. There are several of the consultants that are on with me right now. I will have them introduce themselves to you shortly, and then we can get this thing rolling. And we'll allow for a little bit of time to allow the other students that are ready to watch. So maybe start at around 10 o'clock, 7:10, okay? Sorry. All right. Welcome, Marge. How are you? I think you're still muted if you're saying hello, Marge, but in this session, I don't know if Marge, you were one of the people that applied to be a part of the CASPA scholarship giveaway, but just remember we are doing that giveaway towards the end of this this Zoom session where you're meeting the team. So if you haven't already gone and talked, like left a comment on the channel saying why you want to be a PA to enter and to win, go do that now so that you can be entered and to win one of the scholarships that we're giving away today. And for those of you that are watching me on YouTube, watching us on YouTube, again, if you want to be a part of the CASPA Scholarship giveaway, like there is still time because we're going to be naming that. It's kind of like a random little picker that I have that I will be naming towards the end of this. So go comment. Okay. All right, so I think we should start in like the same way that we started before you all, kind of the same, I guess you could say, I don't even know the order of events that we started before with Raven, you introducing yourself first. If you can just give everyone that's watching a little bit of background about who you are, what area you're actually practicing in right now, and how long you've been a PA, and then what are the services that you're offering for Get That C University so that they can know like when they can book you or book a session with you.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm really honored to be here. My name is Raven Matthews. I am a PA in Roanoke, Virginia. I am originally from Maryland. I went to the University of Maryland where I got my degree in public health and global poverty. I went straight from undergrad to PA school, and I went to PA school at Jefferson University of Health Sciences in Roanoke, Virginia, which is now Radford University Carilion. We had a name change, and I graduated from there in December. So I'm actually a new grad PA. All of my clinical hours for PA school came from I was a tech in an emergency room in Maryland. I currently work in urgent care. I work it's a large hospital company that kind of has smaller urgent care scattered throughout. And so I do a lot of urgent care medicine, but we also do a lot of primary care medicine and some emergency medicine because some of the urgent cares are in remote locations, so people don't quite have access to primary care or to an emergency room. And I'm offering consultation services as well as the virtual shadowing program that will be starting in a little bit. And I'm also open to any questions anybody has. I guess the kind of experience that I offer is I went straight from high school to undergrad to PA school. So I know a lot of people who are interested in going straight from undergrad to PA school. If you have any questions about that or how I got my hours while still in school, I am always open to answer questions. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being a part. And I mean, I think that's amazing. I didn't realize that was part of your story, that you just kind of went all the way through everything. So kudos to you on that. There are a lot of people that really want to know exactly how to go about doing that. So I think that you are absolutely a resource for them to tap into. Okay. Next, we're gonna have Van introduce himself and talk about like how long he's been a PA and just give you a little bit of background about him as well.
Hey guys, it's a pleasure to being here. My name is Van, just like the shoe. I've been a PA for 6 years now. A little bit of background. I did my undergrad at Howard University, HU, I also finished my PA physician assistant study at Howard University as well. So I graduate in class of 2014. Been a PA for the past 6 years, specializing in orthopedic. Branching out into occupational medicine as well as urgent care. What I can bring to the team? I've been working with a lot of students pretty much as soon as I started practicing. But lately, I've been working more student closely to get them into PA school. Sorry, does someone have a comment?
Mine August 31st.
You should be able to be good now. I just muted her. Go ahead, Van.
Gotcha. I had to, well, a little quick background. I've always been working with students. I just have one that just graduated from PA school recently. So, it's something I always enjoy, helping other students kind of progress to their career or, just going after what they want. I currently have two other students that are progressing to the second year of their matriculation in the PA program. I just work with a student that straight out of college, she'll finish her undergrad, and I just help work with her application as well, her interview. And then she got into one of the PA programs. She'll be starting, I believe, this August. So I can offer that consultation. I can also do a lot of virtual shadowing that I started doing since COVID, since I know it can be difficult for you guys to get shadowing hours. But yeah, feel free to utilize me as a resource. I'm happy to be part of the team, and I'm really open to be helping you guys out.
Hello, my name is Jamika. I am a PA and I've been practicing for about 6 years now. I graduated from Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, 2015. And then I did my undergraduate studies at Chicago State University, graduated with a degree in general biology. Right out of PA school, I started working in emergency medicine. I did that for about 3 years and then knew I wanted to pursue dermatology. It is difficult getting into dermatology. So in the meantime of trying to hustle and get my foot in the door, I worked in urgent care, nephrology, and occupational medicine. But for the past 2.5, 3 years, I've been working in dermatology here at Howard University at the College of Medicine. So I am currently an advisor on the admissions committee. So I do interviews for my alma mater PA program. I was also on the admissions committee as a student there. So I was helping incoming students, meeting with them, answering questions. I'm mentoring 3 students right now. Well, one is a new graduate. One individual is applying to PA school, and then I currently have 2 students. So I definitely enjoy mentoring, just kind of helping aspiring PAs navigate through all of the roadblocks and uncertainties that you can face. So essentially, I'll be doing consulting for interview prep and personal statement review. So happy to help in any way and answer any questions. If I don't know, I will look it up or pass it on to someone who does.
That's an extremely great motto. Definitely look it up or pass it on. Don't fake it. So I think that's great. I know a lot of students they're going to be extremely happy to do sessions with you because you're on an admissions committee. So that is the benefit that you guys, if you want to know about going straight from PA school, straight from high school to PA school, Raven's got you. If you want to know about orthopedics and how to kind of get into that field, Van has got you set there, and Jamika is already on the board, the admissions committee. So that's something that you guys should absolutely tap into. All right, we have Andre next. He is also an orthopedic PA, so he's going to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you guys. I'm Andre Daly, PA in orthopedic surgery. I've been doing that for almost 2 years. Just a quick background about myself. So I went to undergrad at USF in Tampa, Florida. After that, I actually took the scenic route to PA school. So if you have any questions on that, I can definitely help you navigate the waters. I actually obtained my blood bank degree, went to Duke University for a year and a half, worked as a medical technologist. And that has actually really helped in surgery for me as a PA at this point. And then I went to PA school in New York, LIU, and I came back to Florida to start practicing as a orthopedic surgery PA. I currently work in clinic and in surgery, so my schedule is a little hectic, but I definitely love mentoring students. I currently have, I would say, over 5 students that's shadowing me right now. I go back and forth each week, and I do, offer all of them the service of reviewing their personal statement, giving them advice, and giving them honest advice about what to do, some of the struggles that I've come across, and hopefully not make the same mistakes I made. So I'm very honest with things, and I offer the consultation and the virtual shadowing and also personal statement review. So if there's anything that you guys need, please use me as a resource. I'm going to be very honest because people have been honest with me, and that's what's helped so far. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I appreciate, again, each and every one of you just taking some time out of your busy schedules. As you can see, you guys, they're all in their scrubs. Like I'm in my t-shirt over here. I'm post-call though, so I was at work as well, but they're in their scrubs because they're now coming from work and they really want to be a resource to you all. So please tap into these resources. You have people that are willing to help you and offer their services and their time to you. So I think that is a benefit that we should actually take advantage of. There are some questions that some students have posted on YouTube. And if you have a question, if you're in the actual Zoom session with us right now, you can always just kind of raise your hand, unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay, I'm going to go to the YouTube chat to just pull some of these questions, and any one of you can take the opportunity to answer this question for the students. Okay, so one of them said, this is Eric Lewis, he said, just finished school, associates in radiologic technology, and you really are an only inspiration on why I'm working towards a PACE. Really stressed out about my registry test in 29 days, but we're okay. So that's not, he's just really stressed. Eric is really stressed trying to get into PA school, as many of us are stressed trying to get into PA school. I guess one of the questions that we can answer for students is how to manage that stress, or what to think.
Is it lost for everyone or?
Yes, it's
Okay.
just, but I guess I would say as far as managing, oh, is she trying?
Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry.
So
Go ahead,
answering the
Jamika.
question as far as managing stress while applying for PA school, is that correct? Why he's applying for PA school? That was the question?
Yes, that is correct.
So first and foremost, it's important to do your research first. know which schools you want to apply to, create some type of list or a spreadsheet or something, and really be intentional about finding out about the prerequisites, any type of secondary applications, required shadowing or clinical experience. And don't be afraid to call the programs if you have specific questions and you're unsure of whether your current prerequisites or whatever clinical or educational experience you have meets their requirements. The second thing I would say is get a mentor so that they can help you navigate just, kind of those murky waters and provide some reassurance and encouragement when you're feeling discouraged or overwhelmed. And to that point, try and find, with social media, it's different. Like, there was no Instagram per se when I was applying, but now you can find another student, a pre-PA student out there who you can partner with and really have them to ask questions as well. And just find things that you enjoy. The same advice I would give someone who's in PA school and trying to manage the stress, it's like you have to find avenues that help with stress relief. So whether that's working out, visiting friends or reading or whatever it is, like use those outlets to give yourself a break.
I think that was like actually key. Research for me is like one of the things that I always tell people to do. I think that was one of the mistakes that I made. I was like, coming into this thinking like, oh, I can just get into PA school. I didn't really like go into all of the various different pages of each program to look at if there's something that's different on one page versus another, or if there's a caveat to some of the things that they were requiring. So to avoid making big mistakes, because they're big mistakes because you're putting your money into it. So I think anything that you're spending money for, it really should be a benefit to you. So to avoid making those mistakes with respect to applying to schools that you don't necessarily meet the requirements for, I think it would be important to absolutely do your research. So that was a really good point. There is another question. Cassandra said, hey, everyone, I have a BS in psychology in 2019, but currently taking the last bit of prereqs, organic chemistry, bio 2, and genetics. Does lab assisting count as patient care experience? And this is a big question, not specifically about lab assisting, but about what counts towards patient care experience. So anyone can take this and we can clean it up, I guess, at the end to talk about where you can also go to just make sure that your experience falls in that patient care experience category.
I can offer some insights on this one. So from my own personal research, usually there's two types of experience you can get. This, healthcare experience, and then this patient care experience. The difference are healthcare experience. Basically, you work in a any related medical related profession, but your job doesn't actually affect the that you don't have direct interaction with the patient. Your action doesn't necessarily affects the outcome of the patient's care, such as, let's say you a pharmacist tech, right? Or you something along that line. So that falls under ACEs or healthcare experience, or shadowing is actually considered fall under ACEs experience. Whereas patient care experience, where you work as a medical assistant, your duty, you performing duty that actually directly impacts the outcome of the patient's care. So to help answer your question, it depends on what you do on the lab. If you can elaborate more on that, then maybe that can help you answer your question.
And I like what you said at the end, Van, about elaborating more. I think that we don't, as pre-PA students trying to get into PA school, we don't take the opportunity enough to actually go in, and when we're talking about the descriptions of these various different experiences in CASPA, we don't really elaborate so that when the schools are looking at it, they can actually see, okay, this is what she did. Maybe because there are some schools and there are some types of like CNAs where you're not doing as much as another CNA, right? And so for me, I think that was one of the strengths that I had, because I was in with kind of like a group that allowed me to do a little bit more. And so because of that, I was able to elaborate, and the schools were able to see, okay, so it's not like every other CNA that I may have seen, like she got to do X, Y, Z, and that was a benefit. So I think that it's important to make sure that we do elaborate on exactly what our responsibilities in each of those patient care experiences are. Another thing I wanted to talk about with respect to patient care experience, you can always go to CASPA's frequently asked questions, and they have a list of some of the things that they consider patient care experience. So if you're still trying to figure out, okay, should I be a PCT or a physical therapy tech or a CNA or a GNA or emergency med tech, what's going to actually count? That is one of your go-to points to actually have something tangible that will actually be considered patient care experience. So when in doubt, go directly to the source. You call the school, as Jamika said. Don't be afraid to do that, but you can always go to CASPA as well. Okay, there was a question. It said, when is the best time to take the GRE? This is from Nardine. I'm not even going to try to butcher your last name. So this is from Nardine. She said, when's the best time to take the GRE?
I could touch on this a little bit. I think I know this is kind of a cop-out answer, but it's really person dependent. I personally scheduled my GRE far out enough. So if I needed to take it again, I could, and have all of the results and things to send to my programs when I applied. I think, when you send in your application, you want a complete application. And I ended up only needing to take the GRE once, but I know a couple of people who ended up taking it again just to kind of boost their scores a little bit. And so I would recommend just planning it out so you have enough time to take it again. And I know for me, the GRE is kind of expensive. So it was one of those things, like making sure that I was budgeting and had the money to pay for it and then potentially pay for it again, and spacing that out far enough so I would have money to pay for the CASPA application. So I think it's really just personal and how much prep time you want in between them, because I would rather take the GRE once and prep a whole lot than take it twice and kind of not really prep at all.
Yeah, I like that. And I always say that as well. For me, I tell everybody, really kind of schedule it around when you're trying to apply. So give yourself enough time. If you don't get the score that you want, you give yourself enough time to actually retake it. So I absolutely feel like it's patient dependent. I just wanted you guys to we're going to step away from asking questions really quickly because one of the other consultants came into the room. So I just want Natalie to introduce herself, kind of just where she's at in this whole PA scope, and then the services that she offers. And then we can get back into some of these questions that you all have been asking in the various different chats. If you're available to do that, Natalie, because I know you're now coming off of a rotation.
Yes. Hello. Hi, everybody. My name is Natalie Crump. I'm a second year, almost third year PA student. I will graduate in November. And so I offer personal consultations if you just want one-on-one. I'm also a non-traditional student. I had a master's degree before PA school, and I'm also a mom of 3. And so if you have any questions about navigating this whole process in that regard, I'm available. Also just managing your life in PA school. For any person, for any reason, I'm available for that also. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. My experience prior to PA school is pretty varied. Immediately before PA school, I was a researcher for the University of Colorado, and I preserved fertility for cancer patients before their treatments began. I consulted patients. Sorry, I have a dog who's chewing on a label in front of me. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna hold her. This is my new addition. Sorry, you all. So I basically preserve fertility for both adults and then kids. So I ran the research protocols for testicular and ovarian tissue. And then years prior to that, I worked as a CNA at a level 1 trauma center. And so I rotated and was a float pool CNA. So got lots of inpatient experience in that way, and then worked for a health insurance company for a small stint. So lots of experience, super varied. Like someone asked a question about master's degree. I did have that prior to PA school. And yes, I did have to take the GRE again. So that's that. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I'm excited that you all are part of this GTCU family. So that's that.
All right. Thank you so much for answering that question. I mean, because I didn't have a master's, so I didn't know how to answer that one. So that was beneficial. There was somebody who asked another kind of almost adjunctive question with respect to the master's on YouTube. So I'm going to go to Stojana. She said, good evening. I have an associate's degree, bachelor's degree, and master's degree. My master's isn't in medical/sciences, so a lot of my prereqs have expired. Should I consider retaking all of the prerequisites?
I can answer that one. If your prerequisites have expired and the schools require it, then yes. Let me turn this way. That's better lighting. Okay. If your prerequisites have expired and the schools require it, then I suggest calling the schools and finding out which ones are mandatory, because I know it's a lot of money to retake all of your prerequisites, a lot of time. I applied to the school that I did because they didn't have an expiration date on prerequisites. And so that's something to consider in terms of the money, both ways, both in an application cycle, in addition to what you're going to pay for tuition for those courses.
Great. Okay, there is another question. This is from YouTube as well. Let me see. I just had it in my sites and I lost it. Sorry, guys. She said that she just graduated from okay, there it is. That girl, Wanda. I just graduated college 2 days ago. Congratulations with my bachelor's of science. I'm currently in a nursing program, but my problem is my GPA is low. What should I do? Which is like the question on everybody's mind. What do they do if they have a low GPA and they're trying to get into PA school? So anybody can take this. I've like exhausted this topic myself, but anybody, if you have any insight on it, you can address what to do if you have a low GPA, but you're trying to get into PA school.
Here's my 2 cents. One question is how low? Like, what is a low GPA? Because there may still be PA programs out there where that GPA is not a disqualifier. Secondly, I would consider post-bac classes. Taking a few courses that can, one, demonstrate that you can handle science courses at a graduate level, and you can do well in those courses. So if you do take post-bac courses, you definitely need to achieve a B or higher. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. One, your GPA is not necessarily a disqualifier, and if it actually is for the program or programs that you really want to apply to, it may be worth taking some science courses to just show these programs that you actually can handle and succeed in tougher science courses.
So I don't mean to put you on the spot, but since you are our resident admissions counselor and on the admissions staff, I would like to know from your standpoint as somebody that's looking at, at you're helping students and you're also, kind of mentoring them, but then you're also doing interviews. What do you look at? Do you look at the student holistically, or like what are kind of like the main things that you take into consideration when thinking about should this student be admitted to the program, or are they a right fit for the program?
Yeah, absolutely. So within my program, we definitely look at the applicant holistically. Where I can admittedly state that there's emphasis is on the GPA, the GRE, and your letters of recommendation. So we really focus on, honestly, this past year, I don't think we accepted accepted a candidate with less than a 3.3. And so, you know, it's different across the board with programs, but for sure we want to see that, and also how you're taking your courses as well. Like if you have biochemistry and then you have yoga and then you have like some other random courses, like we want to see that you can take biochem, you can take organic chem, you can take biology all at the same time and do well, because when you're in PA school, you are taking all of these very difficult courses in addition to like clinicals. So you really want to show that you can handle the rigor of the program.
Hey, I like it. I like it. I didn't even really think about the aspect of making sure that you're kind of taking all these classes at the same time, just because I'd already done a bachelor's in a natural science degree. So that was a given, but I could absolutely see how that would be important for PA school. So definitely a tip that you guys should remember, especially if you're taking courses, kind of you're cherry picking them at various different community colleges.
You bring up a good point, Adanna, because I was also a science major, so I was taking my science classes, but like I've interviewed music majors or psychology majors or business, majors, so they aren't taking that heavy science load like that.
To kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, I would also kind of use the opportunity of post-bac classes and things like that to really tweak your studying habits, figure out what kind of caused your GPA to drop, and kind of refine how you take tests and things like that. Because I will say, after being in PA school, I realized that, their GPA requirements and like class requirements are not them just like being mean and trying to weed out people. But most programs, you have to maintain a GPA to stay in the program. So like getting in is like only the first step. And I know like for my program specifically, if you failed a test, you were allowed to remediate it, but there was a cap on how many times you could do that. And your grades, your cumulative GPA had to stay over a certain amount. And then also your grade at each class had to stay in like the B range. So I would use that time to kind of figure out what you can do, because when you get into PA school, it is like taking all of those classes in fast drive. Like you don't really have time to relearn how to study. And I think that was something that was really hard for me. I had to learn how to study again, how to study more efficiently, just so that I could keep up and keep the grades. That's kind of would be my little tip to do while you're trying to get your GPA up.
So I hear a lot of people talking about post-bac, and there's a question on here about post-bac. So on the YouTube chat, it says, when you mention post-bac courses, do you mean other upper division science courses that are not prerequisites? So what exactly is a post-bac program, and what do you all mean when you mention try doing a post-bac?
So there are some universities that have a post-bac program. So they have, after you get your undergraduate degree, you can do a post-bac program. If there's a school that you want to attend and they don't have a post-bac program, you can kind of piece together courses, and they are, like you said, graduate and higher level courses. Ideally, they are the prerequisites to the school that you're applying to, and meeting the science courses, but that's essentially what it is. So they're just science or prerequisite courses that you can take together, not necessarily obtaining a degree, but there are universities that have a post-bac program as well. All
right. There's a question from the S word. she asked, for those that took the scenic route, how did you all go about obtaining funding for PA school? So I think, Andre, this is up your.
Right. The funding is loans for me. You know, honestly, it's one of the things I struggle with on a daily basis when I look back. And I went to a school in New York. So one, New York is really expensive. So my advice will be obviously for each school, look at living expenses. Look at, are you going to travel? Are you going out of the state? So there's a lot of factors that you have to consider. I mean, you will get funding as long as you have good credit and you show that you're a decent person, which you will be, and you are, because you're applying to healthcare to help people. But most things where you're gonna, as long as you live, you know, stay in your lane for sure. You're smart with your savings. I think in due time, you'll be able to pay it off and you'll still have a comfortable life. So, you know, just to answer that question, I think, you know, the schools will definitely offer student loans to students. I didn't have to take out any private loan or anything like that. Everything was through federal government. And I think you'll be okay. I wouldn't stress too much about the funding. The main thing is just to get in.
Does anyone else have any insight on how to get funding for PA school? Oh, Natalie has something to say.
So you can also apply for the National Health Service Corps Scholarship. They offer, like, for right now, PAs are still included, where you can get basically a scholarship to attend PA school. They'll pay in full in return for your service at like a federally qualified health center or some high need medical practice or office. They also offer loan repayment. So if you don't get the scholarship, you can apply as a practicing PA for their loan repayment if you happen to work in one of those facilities as well. A lot of state governments and organizations have something similar as well. And then the other part is you can also always do loans. People are always afraid of that big L word because they know what the debt carries and sort of what the impact is going to be on their life. But to be completely honest, student debt is not looked at. I am so sorry. She's barking at a moving cup. I'm so sorry. Student debt is not looked at the same as like credit card debt or other things like that. They understand that you went to school. And when you're out, there are tons of options to consolidate or make your loan payments something bearable while you are trying to, you know, live as well. So there are options.
Yeah, there are. And so for me, I didn't qualify for any of those things. So because I was an international student, essentially. And so that was the loan aspect. Like I didn't have good credit. Thank God I have it now. But that was only because of PA school. But I exhausted every single resource that I could think of. I went searching for scholarships. I like just Googled scholarships for healthcare or PA school or anything. I knocked on doors to friends and families and I was like, hey, can you like co-sign a loan with me? And none of that really panned out. Like God kind of worked some other things out for me, but you really just have to kind of exhaust every resource. If you really want to get into PA school, like don't allow the money to be a barrier to you getting into the program, especially if you were accepted. And that was one thing that was important for me because I was accepted into PA school, but I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. And I honestly, even up until my first and second semester, I didn't know how I was paying for PA school, but it just happened to work out. So there will be a way made out, but you kind of just have to do that legwork. And I don't want any of us to be afraid of working hard for what you want. A lot of students that we counsel, and I can speak specifically for myself, some of them are looking for an easy route to PA school, but I want you guys to not be afraid of working hard to get to this point. Okay. So exhaust all your resources, the S word, figure out something, but there are lots of options and the loan will always be there. So you can exhaust some of these other options that don't require you to get into debt per se.
You're muted, Adanna.
Sorry, guys. So there's a question in the chat as well as on YouTube. So I'm just trying to navigate all of them. So sorry, but it says from iPhone, it says on CASPA and the transcript matching section, it asks me to add biological science courses and behavioral science courses. How do I know which of my courses I've taken classify as each? Does anyone want to answer this, or if not, I can. Okay, Natalie's got it.
You're big because I was a psych major, so I had a lot of behavioral science courses. And your behavioral science courses are going to be I think more like that. So if you had a biological basis of behavior kind of course that was more science bend, but really regarding sort of psychological processes, that would be more of a behavioral science class versus a cell biology, which is a true science course. So just sort of look at your transcript in that regard and see. Another telltale sign is which department offered that course. Was it through psych? Was it through sociology? Was it through science, like a chemistry department or a bio department? And that'll help delineate also.
Agreed. Like she said, most of the behavioral science is really in your psychology and social, sociology. Those courses will go towards your behavioral sciences. And then again, don't be afraid to use that phone and call. So you can always call CASPA. I like me and CASPA, we were best friends. I would call these people on a consistent basis just to make sure all right, is this going to be considered a science versus a non-science? How are you good? Because calculating CASPA GPA is key. Okay. And so understanding where you land in that CASPA calculated GPA is important. So I wanted to make sure that all of the courses that I was taking was placed in the the exact place that they needed to make sure that my GPA was hitting the right spot. So don't be afraid to use that number and call CASPA to ask them, would this be considered a biological science or behavioral science? I don't know if you guys see any other questions in the Zoom chat. I'm going to just head over to the YouTube chat because I saw some things. This is from Jalen Crockett. They write, I just graduated with my bachelor's of science degree recently, and this, or maybe it's biological sciences degree recently, and this will be my second time applying to PA school. I've worked as an MA in various specialties over the years, most recently in dermatology. My direct patient care hours are in the 4,000, 5,000 range. Kudos to you, because that is a lot. My GPA is average with an upward trend, and I just started a master's of science in medical sciences degree. Any advice on how I should approach this cycle as a re-applicant? So anyone can take that, or I can answer it as well.
All of these people, I was that person. I did all of those things. I applied to PA school twice also. And similar background, I had way over 4,000 or 5,000 hours just because of my track. But what I did change from cycle 1 to cycle 2 was my personal statement. And I think I guess I would probably need to ask you, and maybe it's just something to work out later, but what you changed from cycle 1 to cycle 2 besides starting this master's program. If that's the only thing that you change, you can speak to it. But I think a lot of times, sometimes it's how you present yourself in your personal statement that can make the difference. It's really showcasing who you are and more so showing in your illustration instead of telling. like through examples and such. But that's how I would approach the cycle. I also called the schools I applied to and just was like, hey, here are my stats. Here's, you know, what I'm considering. Do you think it's worth reapplying? Like, is there any tools and tips you would give? And I had one school who was super awesome. She was like, I would change this, that, and the third. And she was the reason I applied a second time, because I was going to be like, forget this, I'll just get a PhD in psychology and call it a day. But that person at that school was the reason why I actually decided to reapply. So call the schools if they're open to it and just ask them if they have any recommendations. A lot of times they might give you like very generic responses. But you might look up and get a school who took the time like they did for me and actually sort of walked through and gave some really good advice. But for sure, the personal statement is something you can tweak in addition to now showcasing this additional degree that you're going to get.
I definitely agree with that one. The personal statement, you know, is key. Like if you're considering, if you have two applicants, the exact same scores, they look good on paper, the personal statement is what's going to separate you to get that seat. So I definitely pay really good attention to, you know, grammar, to not giving too much information, and just having something solid that makes them want more, want to get to know you as a person. You know, your personal statement should tell a story. It should not bore the person who's reading it. It should really want them to see, who is this person that is on paper? I really want to get them here for an interview.
Yeah, I would agree with Andre and Natalie. I was a re-applicant as well, and my personal statement is where I chose to focus on just kind of representing myself. I definitely highlighted some things that I had done in between the two cycles. So I think that's important. Like if you had a solid application, but you just didn't get selected for an interview, it's not the time to start doubting yourself. It's just that you may have to apply again. It doesn't mean that you're not qualified or that you're not meant to get into PA school. So I will definitely say, you know, just don't give up. And I was on the phone with the academic advisor for the program that I eventually got accepted to on a weekly or biweekly basis. And she really helped walk me through the process. And I was certain about what I was doing because I was able to have all those questions answered. So I feel like we are all saying the same things. Like, do not be afraid to call the programs that you're interested in with your stats, with your questions, and really focus on having someone edit your personal statement. That your personal statement should take you, a few weeks, a month or so to write, and should be edited at least 3 or 4 times.
I wholeheartedly agree with everything that everyone has said. I think it is important for all of us to make those changes. And I didn't get into PA school until I changed my personal statement. And if you've seen that video, like my personal statement, the original one was a hot mess. So I understood why I didn't get in those first 2 times, because my GPA, it changed, but it didn't change significantly enough to warrant like not getting an interview getting an interview and acceptances. So I think that is absolutely important to be mindful of, and just understanding, as Andre said, like what to highlight in that personal statement. And I think Natalie mentioned that as well, because you have a lot of experience, and that means you kind of have a lot to talk about, but knowing what specifically is important to highlight to really get them to know who Jalen is as a person, I think is really important. Jalen said, thank you for the feedback. So really quickly, I know we were on here for, I said we were going to be on here for an hour, and I don't want to really go past that. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. But I just wanted to talk briefly about the virtual shadowing program, and then we'll answer a couple more questions in the chat. So we are doing a virtual shadowing program, and specifically it will be a 6-week program. You will get one-on-one conversations with one of the PAs that you see here. Jamaica is not doing virtual shadowing at the moment. And I don't believe Natalie is doing virtual shadowing at the moment as well, since she's still a student. But you will be able to talk to the PA and ultimately kind of get some of the same information that you have that you're asking right now. You'll be able to ask them those questions because those sessions will be an hour for 6 weeks. There will be various different tasks that you have to complete. At the end of it all, you will get a certificate. And we do have programs that are on board with accepting our virtual shadowing program towards their their shadowing hours. The virtual shadowing program will count towards 18 hours. We're still actively searching out schools. So, you know, as I get schools on board, I'll start updating a list, and then we'll be able to post that for you all. But I think it's something that you should absolutely take kind of advantage of. We'll be kind of promoting it throughout the course of these next couple of weeks, and plan on launching it at the end of June. So it will be a 6-week program, as I said, with various different tasks and one-on-one contact with a certified physician assistant. You'll also, you know, at the end of it, will likely be able to get a letter of recommendation out of it because you would have cultivated a relationship. So those are all things to keep in mind, but I just wanted to touch on that because I know I've had the question asked, like, how does GTCU do virtual shadowing, or how would you help with virtual shadowing and letters of recommendations? Well, this is one of the ways that we've been like diligently working at developing. And so that is what we'll be launching at the end of this, this upcoming month in June. And then we're going to answer a couple more questions, and then we're going to talk about who the winners are, because we are giving away 2 CASPA scholarships to pay for your initial CASPA application, which I believe is about $175, and then your second school that you want to apply to. So stay tuned for that. Okay. Ward T asks, can anyone speak more on a strong personal statement? And I think like we can exhaust like what a strong personal statement looks like, but if anyone has some really quick tips and tricks on how to make your personal statement strong, or what a strong personal statement looks like to you, if you can address that for Word, I think they would appreciate it. So I can address it as well. So for me, I know when I'm looking at individuals' personal statements, when I'm doing my personal statement reviews, I always like to see something different than what I can see on your application through CASPA. So I don't want all of your stats. I don't want all of, you know, like I've been, you know, doing like all your healthcare experience hours. Like I've been doing this for 5 years and I have X amount of hours. I don't want to see all of that, because those are things that I can get from your CASPA application. So I want to get an insight on who you are as a person, because looking at you on a sheet of paper as just numbers and words isn't beneficial to me to understand how you would fit with the cohort that we're trying to build. So I think that it's important when you're trying to figure out what to write in your personal statement, initially draw the reader in, because think about it, if you can imagine as an admissions counselor or somebody that's part of the admissions committee, you're reading hundreds of personal statements, you know, because there are thousands of applications that are coming in, and you're trying to whittle these thousands down to hundreds and then down to like 30, 40 seats. So you're reading lots of personal statements, and if you're coming to me with like a 5-page personal statement, which you really can't because you have 5,000 characters to enter into CASPA. But if your statement was 5 pages and you entered it in and you didn't realize that there was a cap on how many characters you had, your personal statement is incomplete. So I think it's important to really understand the nuances of what is important to add in the personal statement, what will give them a fairly holistic picture of who you are as not only a student, but future student and as a person, and then what you can bring to the table. I think that is important. What can you bring as a future student to their program, to the cohort, and ultimately to the PA profession? So that I would list as strong points to add into your personal statement.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Adanna, and I'll just add that the goal of the personal statement is to tell your story. How did your experiences lead you to choosing to pursue a career as a physician assistant, and how do you feel that those experiences have prepared you to be successful and a good fit for the programs that you are applying to? And the challenge is finding a unique and eloquent way of writing that and stating that while still using your own voice. And so I'll say, even when we kind of review personal statements on the admissions committee, the things that we really gravitate towards are applicants who have overcome adversity, who have a clear declaration on why they want to be a PA, as opposed to any of the other medical specialties, and maturity. So how do we know that you're ready to step into a role that holds such a large responsibility? And so those are just some things that you want to pay attention to and try to highlight within your personal statement.
I would say too, something that's helpful is to, if you're still gathering patient care experience, keep a journal of experiences that really moved you, or those things that securing or solidifying your decision to be a PA, and then you can somehow incorporate that experience or reflect back on it when you're writing.
I agree with you, Natalie. One of the things, I noticed with a lot of personal statements that attracts me is when people are being honest and emotional. It's one thing to be vulnerable, get the point that you're trying to say across in a nice, 1-page essay, and really, string on the heartstrings per se on the person who's reading it. I think a lot of people get shy with their responsibilities, and they're like, oh, well, I'm in a surgery center, and it doesn't matter. It's like, you just, acknowledge what you do, what you've done in the past, and just make that experience the best experience they've ever heard about.
And then I'll say one final thought from me is show me, don't tell me. So you're a hard worker, you're passionate about healthcare, you are perseverant. Like, well, tell me a story about a time when you persevered, or describe for me a situation where you had to be compassionate, and then I'll see, what that looks like for you, instead of you saying, using those adjectives, show me.
All right, that was all like really good stuff, you guys. So thank you again so much for answering that. I will do one more question from the chat. So this is from Jessica Mendoza. She said, I'm a person that loves to have a plan. I know that it's not always possible, but could you give me a number of direct patient care hours or healthcare hours, shadowing, volunteering hours that she should essentially kind of strive to?
I would say as much as you can before you can apply. There's no set limit. I don't think there ever can be too much or too many. And the more you have, the more experiences you'll have to talk about. And I do think that people who had like a lot of patient care experiences in my PA class in general had an easier time actually in PA school. So when I was doing like my shadowing or healthcare hours and things, I wasn't really thinking of it as like, I just need to check this off, but it was, what skills am I getting here that I would be able to use as a PA, or looking at the PAs and seeing what they're doing, and then also use those experiences to network. You're with other healthcare providers, use that experience to talk to them, get letters from, see what they liked about the profession, what schools they went to, things like that. I also am a big planner, and I am kind of that person where I want set numbers, I want set deadlines, and like, I just think for that specific one, there isn't any. And I know that my program, even if you were like on the wait list and stuff, people were still like accumulating hours, and then you could like resubmit like, hey, I've still been working full time, things like that, like update the school. And it looks good that you're still pursuing to get more hours. So I would just say do as many as you can before applying, or even once you do apply.
Okay, all right. Thank you guys again so much for answering all of those questions. I think everybody got some really good information. So I just want to name the 2 people that won those scholarships. You're going to have to respond back to me. I will verify everything. So don't respond with some email that is not attached to your YouTube account, because that will not, you're not going to get the scholarship, I'm sorry to say. Okay, but the 2 winners, this is from you were supposed to comment in the video to see if you won. So the first winner is Dorinda Sam. Dorinda Sam, she commented on the video about a day ago. So Dorinda, if you are like ready and you're trying to apply to PA school, girl, we got you. We got you. Okay. So go ahead and send me an email at AdannaThePA, and I will get the scholarship to you. So please do that. And the next winner is Demi Mendez. Demi Mendez. So Demi and Dorinda, 2 D's. Can you, if you guys have seen this live, or you come back and see it, I'm gonna write your name in the chat as well. Dorinda, Sam are the winners, and I will put this up on Instagram also, just so that you know. Please contact me at AdannaThePA. And you guys, we are going to be doing not necessarily these live Zoom sessions with everybody, but specifically we're going to be doing these scholarships, because we know that it costs money, and it's a little expensive to get into PA school and to apply to CASPA. So we're going to be doing this on a monthly basis. So be sure to continue to tune into all of our various different social medias and YouTube, so that you know when the next winner will be, the next giveaway will be happening. Okay. If you guys can briefly just kind of shout out or write tell them your social media handles where they can see more of your content and reach out to you. Of course, you can see them on Get That C University, but I want to make sure that they get their shine as well. So please go ahead and do that.
I am at Black Durham PA on Instagram, and that's where you can find me. DM me, ask me questions. I have some content on my platform about dermatology and skin of color. So if you have anything specific that you want to ask me about dermatology, I'm happy to answer, as well as just about pursuing the PA profession.
Awesome. And then you can find me at the PA Life Coach. Also, if you have any questions about surgery, orthopedics, or anything like that, just please let me know. My platform is strictly to help students to get into PA school, and even just PAs just to navigate life. So please let me know.
Hi, my Insta handle is _Natalie.Marie_. And shamed enough that I'm not on there consistently, but you can definitely go on there. I always have something about what my rotations are like and just life in general in terms of balancing. My page is really motivation and positivity. So if you guys want to reach out and ask about like what it is being in PA school and also being a part of AAPA. So I serve as a student delegate to AAPA, and I'm also running right now for president-elect. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, you guys can reach me there.
Sorry, I'm like choking on tea. But excuse me. My Insta handle is @RavenMonet. I am still choking. I'm sorry. I am currently planning a wedding and I have a cute dog. So my account isn't all PA stuff, but there is PA stuff thrown in there. And my DMs are always open for questions. And I just started my job as an urgent care PA. So I kind of plan on updating more about what it's like to be an urgent care PA kind of in this environment where people don't really have great access to healthcare. And I was also a public health major, so just kind of expect, wedding planning, dogs, but then also PA stuff. So, like I said, DM me if you have any questions.
Well, thank you. I'm sure they'll be happy to see your cute dog and all of your nice wedding planning stuff. Thank you guys again so much for watching us and joining us on this live. Really hope that it was beneficial for you. All of those handles are great, so please go ahead and follow them on their respective Instagrams, but you can also check them out on getthatcuniversity.com. Okay, so head on over there and book your sessions. They are available. There are lots of session times so that you can actually choose a time that is more conducive to your schedule. So if you need to get your personal statement reviewed, or you just need some help with interviews or just life help, maybe you're planning a wedding as well and you have a cute dog and you want to talk to Raven about that process, you can do that also with respect to understanding PA school. And then getting into just kind of the more, if you can say, prestigious part of the PA profession in terms of serving on boards, you can talk to Natalie about that, okay? And Jamaica, our resident admissions counselor. I love saying that because I think that's such a benefit. So I'm really happy that you're part of this team. So thank you guys, each and every one of you. If you guys have any other questions, you can DM us and again, join Get That's University. And please, Demi and Dorinda, send me an email so we can get you guys going for your CASPA application scholarship. All right, bye you guys. Okay, let me stop streaming. So I know